So you've probably seen thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of iPhone 12 Pro Max videos, and well, here's another one to add to the list. So I've been using the iPhone 12 Pro Max for a week, and I'm ready to give my review. Sort of. So I do have a lot of thoughts on this phone, and I thought I'd just lay it out for you guys. A little rambling of sorts on my feelings on the iPhone as it is in 2020. And yeah, let's just get into this now. I'm not going to be diving into everything because, as I said, there are so many reviews out there and I am a pretty terrible reviewer, but I thought I'd just get my thoughts out there to the world. So listen to me if you want. So a little story as to how I got to the iPhone 12 Pro Max. So I usually upgrade to a new iPhone whenever I can, whenever I can afford it. And this year, yes, I could afford an upgrade and I thought, hey, I'll get the iPhone 12. Because for the last few years, I've been getting the regular iPhone or the budget iPhone since they've always had the best value and I just felt like it wasn't necessary to go for the Pro models. Because the iPhone 11 and XR at the prices they were, especially the 11 at $699, was just terrific value and you really weren't losing out much by going with the 11. But this year, that strategy kind of changed because obviously Apple had a fourth iPhone now, the iPhone 12 mini, and so now it took over the $699 slot and the regular iPhone moved up to $799. And so hesitantly, I got myself the 12. I thought, hey, it is slightly more expensive than I thought, but it'll be a worthwhile upgrade, right? No, it was pretty much the same phone. Like, do you remember that meme from The Office where Pam says they're the same picture? If you remember that, that's pretty much what I experienced with the iPhone 11 and 12. Because yes, I know there's a new design and there's an OLED display and there's 5G now because 5G is apparently the next big thing for mankind, but I really couldn't tell much of a difference between the two phones, and I was pretty disappointed because I felt like I just bought the phone I already had again. And so, as a rational human being, I decided to spend more money and get myself the Pro Max. Okay, I know I sound like a lunatic, but bear with me because the Pro Max did sound a little more exciting. So the Pro Max apparently, according to Apple's site, had some pretty major camera upgrades. It had a 48% larger sensor, it had a better telephoto camera, it had sensor shift stabilization, and all these buzzwords kind of grabbed me and kind of convinced me that, hey, maybe buying the Pro Max isn't such a bad idea. Not to mention that I've never had a Max iPhone. I've never had a Plus iPhone, a Max iPhone. I've really never experienced that big sized iPhone life. And so I thought, hey, why not do it this year? And so now I've experienced it. I'm conflicted. So there are some benefits to the Pro Max's size, the larger screen, and the insane endurance, to name a few. But along with that, there are some cons, which honestly does kind of hinder the experience. So let's first address the positives. As I just said, large display, 6.7 inches of OLED beauty. It's absolutely amazing and perfect for Netflix and YouTube. Now, of course, we do have a 60Hz display on this phone, and a 120Hz display would have been the icing on the cake, but unfortunately in life, we just don't get everything we want. But except for that, this display is pretty much near perfect in my opinion. Next, the endurance. The endurance of this phone is insane. So I am a huge battery nerd, I guess. I don't know what's the word for this, but I like phones that last. I am a heavy user and I want my phone to last throughout the day comfortably, and the Pro Max definitely does, and that's quite impressive because iPhones in my experience have been definitely quite good, but nowhere near the legendary battery figures I used to have with some Android phones. But the Pro Max lives up to the name. It is definitely a max phone in terms of battery endurance. Also, the speakers, they sound incredible. I love the speakers. They're so bassy, they're so good. It's just perfect for watching videos and Netflix. Like if you're somebody who watches a lot of stuff on your phone, the Pro Max is perfect for that. But now we come to the negatives, because obviously having such a large display means that you have to put up with a huge size. So my issue with size actually has nothing to do with the fit in hand, because this phone is borderline manageable in the hand, but my real issue I have with the size is carrying it around outside, because when I do occasionally go outside to do some shopping or something, this phone is like a brick in my pocket. It's so cumbersome to carry around, and that's really annoying. And yeah, that is a big problem for me, alongside the weight, because if this phone was lighter, then maybe I'll put up with the size, but not only is it huge, but it's heavy, it's hefty, and it's quite a handful. So yeah, not a big fan of the size or the weight, and it's definitely something I miss from the iPhone 12, because that phone is ridiculously light for its size, and it's very comfortable in the hand. So yeah, I wish I could have the best of both worlds, but I know that's probably not possible. But by far my biggest issue with the iPhone 12 Pro Max is the lack of multitasking. So someone who moved from Android to iOS a few years ago, I didn't mind the lack of multitasking that iOS had, because the iPhones I was buying at the time were pretty small anyways, and multitasking would be kind of useless on such a small phone. But having a Max phone now, it just feels like wasted real estate when I have such a huge phone and I can only do one thing at a time. This phone was built for multitasking. Imagine having a 6.7-inch canvas and not being able to do two things at once. That was a pain. As someone who used to be a note user and someone who used to multitask on the daily, having a phone again that's a very similar size to my older notes, it just makes me miss how convenient multitasking was. I just wish this Pro Max had some sort of exclusive iOS feature to take advantage of the bigger display, but no, it's just a blown up version of iOS, like the regular iOS on the regular iPhones. Yeah, that kind of sucks. I mean, this phone borderline feels like an iPad mini in the hand, so why can't we just have iPadOS on this phone? That would be amazing in my opinion, so Apple, please make that happen. And now let's talk about the cameras and how disappointing they are. So don't get me wrong, these cameras are great, but the thing is, iPhone cameras have been great for the last few years. Like honestly, I really stopped telling much of a difference from the iPhone XR, and yeah, iPhone cameras have kind of peaked for me, and I feel like the big upgrades that we were expecting with the Pro Max are really pretty minor. So yeah, in day-to-day use with good conditions, the iPhone 12 Pro Max produces very similar shots to my iPhone 11 and 12, and yes, there are significant improvements with night mode, but realistically, are people really using night mode? Like, are you going out at night during COVID? Is that something you do? Because I never really find a use for night mode. Honestly, I don't get it, because you could always just use the flash. Like, why do companies make such a huge deal about night mode when you just have a flash and a flash will give you more detail than night mode? Because night mode, while it is quite impressive, it's still not the greatest quality. So yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts on the camera, and that's pretty much my overall thoughts on the iPhone 12 Pro Max. Now, yes, I like some parts about this phone, as I said earlier, but I'm conflicted because, especially when you're paying this kind of money for a smartphone, you kind of expect it to be something special, and this phone really isn't that special. Like, if I had a list of upgrades I wanted to see with the iPhone 12 series coming from the iPhone 11, I would say Touch ID, because Face ID kind of sucks right now. I would say 120Hz, I would say USB Type-C, and I would say smaller notch. And we got none of that. We literally got nothing. Instead, Apple gave us Dolby Vision recording. Did anybody ask for that? In fact, all of the big features this year are really just gimmicks, in my opinion. Like MagSafe really isn't that useful right now. Dolby Vision, gimmick. 5G, gimmick. New design, nice, but it's not game-changing, and yeah, that's about it. So I guess it's time for some buying advice. Don't buy the iPhone 12 Pro Max. Simple as. If you're looking for a big iPhone, get yourself the iPhone 11 Pro Max from last year. It's essentially like the same phone. In fact, it's slightly better in some ways because it has a bigger battery, better battery life, because for some reason the successor has worse battery life. Again, that is kind of annoying. Anyways, I'm gonna stop the rambling, okay? You know, you've probably had enough of me rambling on, so today, let's just end it here. Thank you for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, click that bell notification, and I'll catch you in the next one. See ya, peeps.